Second.
Motion by Ms. Johnson, second by Ms. Lopez Caneva. Roll call.
Lopez Caniva,
Yes.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Garrettson,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Shaw,
Yes. Regular session reconvened at 7:08. Okay, could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? There. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we have 3 resolutions this evening. If we could start with our ACT.
So the first resolution is going to be recognizing Joseph Cisnarski. Whereas Joseph Cisnarski, senior student at Lockport Township High School, District 205, has received the prestigious status of earning a perfect score of 36 on the ACT. And whereas Joseph Cisnarski has brought honor and distinction to himself, his family, school, and community by achieving this respected status, now therefore be resolved by the Board of Education of Lockport Township High School, District 205, Will County, Illinois, that this resolution was adopted on the 17th day of November 2025. Congratulations, Joseph.
Yeah, yay. Joseph, who are the fine folks with you? All right, let's give them a big round of applause too, you know. And also is Dr. Jetson. We actually have other Perfect ACT Award winners, but they are at the University of Alabama right now, who I think is very desirous of them going to University of Alabama. So for the board, we'll get them next month.
Okay, perfect. All right.
So for the second resolution is for the National Merit 2026 Commended Students. Whereas Emerson Duffy, Doa Kim, Claire E. Plessy, Duncan E. Kenny Benson, Lillian McCarthy, Lily Strickland, and Joseph Cisnarski, senior students at Lockport Township High School, District 205, have received the prestigious status of earning the title of National Merit Commended 2026. And whereas Emerson Duffy, Doa Kim, Claire E. Plessy, Duncan Kenny Benson, Lillian McCarthy, Lily Strickland, and Joseph Cisnarski have brought honor and distinction to themselves, their family, school, and community by achieving this respected status. Now therefore be resolved by the Board of Education of Lockport Township High School, District 205, Will County, Illinois, that this resolution was adopted on this 17th day of November 2025. Congratulations, students.
Right. Oh, you have to come on down, yeah. Yeah, lead the way, Lillian. It's all good. Yeah, come on down. And as they line up, because as we know in this day and age of social media, nothing happened without a posting. I do want to, Perfect ACT and then also National Merit Commended, just kind of give the Board of Education, anybody watching on live stream in the audience, just a sense of what they mean. National Merit Commended is from performance on the PSAT and MSQT, and obviously ACT is performance on the ACT. Roughly, this group of students, all seniors, about 3.5 million other students their age would have taken this test in the United States and abroad. What commended status tells you is that they're in the top 2% of all of those students internationally and nationally who took the PSAT and MSQT. So sometimes we say, oh, just National Merit Commended, but it is very, very rare air. And it's also where you're at compared to your peers around the world. Because the PSAT and MSQT is taken in places like Doha, Qatar, London, by students who aspire to come China, People's Republic of China, to the United States. So it's very, very rare air to occupy indeed. Who did you guys bring with you? Who are some of these fine folks you've got? Is that person sitting right behind you? Yes, outstanding. Other people you want to introduce around here? Okay, great job. Yeah, we'll take it. Oh, you look like you have some guests too. Okay, outstanding, yeah. I hope we didn't miss, other people. So just really acknowledge that among your peers. What I always say to students who achieve this status, you have a key. And really, whatever you're going to do next, many people will want you to come to their university. So really think about that. Really think about it. They'll recognize the era that you're in. So it's a pretty neat thing.
Okay, and then we have our cross-cultural, a cross-cultures virtual exchange program.
And for our board members, it would be appropriate if we all stood up and bowed to this individual. This is Carla Button. She's our Japanese teacher, stalwart leader of our Japanese program. You'll see a lot of her because in 2026, we do our exchange with the Yamate Gaikun School. That's our partner district right behind the young women right here is a banner that they gave us the last time that they'll hear. And we'll have some of their teachers when they come in April who will come to a board meeting, talk to you a little bit about the exchange. You'll see about 44 Japanese students around here in April.
Thank you. LTHS students, I just want to tell you very quickly a little background. LTHS students in Japanese 3 and AP have been participating in Global Classmates program facilitated by Kizuna Cross Culture since 2017. So this is an online virtual exchange program where students in the U.S. connect with students in a high school in Japan over the course of 6 months, discussing a variety of topics. So towards the conclusion of the program, Kizuna asks teachers from a select number of participating schools to nominate students to apply for the upcoming Global Summit. So it gives me great pride to inform the board that Ethan Foss was selected from a large pool of applicants and took part in the program this past summer. At the summit, Ethan engaged in team building exercises, met with experts in the U.S.-Japan relations, and participated in workshops led by internationally active professionals. Through these experiences, he expanded his perspective, gained deeper understanding of global issues, and enhanced his ability to work effectively with peers from diverse backgrounds on topics like cross-cultural communication, U.S.-Japan relations, and international cooperation. So by the conclusion of the program, Ethan had an opportunity to reflect on his experiences as a young leader and present his ideas for strengthening U.S.-Japan relations and contributing to the global community. So the resolution, whereas Lockport Township High School senior student Ethan Foss was chosen from approximately 2,200 participants in Kizuna Cross Culture's virtual exchange program conducted last year, a total of 14 high school students were selected to participate in the 10-day Global Classmates Summit held in Washington, D.C. this past summer. And Ethan Foss was one of 7 students chosen from the United States. And whereas Ethan Foss has brought honor and distinction to himself, his family, school, and community by achieving this respected status. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education in Lockport Township High School District 205, Will County, Illinois, that this resolution was adopted on the 17th day of November 2025.
Right. Yeah. You got to calm down, Ethan. But and again, do the averages. Ethan comes down to get his picture taken and get his certificate. 14 out of 2,200. That's again very rare air. Incredible in a challenging language like Japanese. Also, we have to toot the horn of Carla Button. I mean, she's like a national treasure. Traveling with Carla, almost spending a month in Japan. One of my favorite things that would happen with Carla is Japanese people couldn't quite figure Carla out. Because when she would meet new people, people would scrunch up their face and wonder, how is this curly-haired American teacher speaking Japanese this fluently? And eventually they would ask, they would say, how can you do this? So we really are very gifted that we have Carla Button here teaching students, Japanese. We have a, J-Leap teacher this year, that's a program that she's brought, and the connection with the Yamate School is also something she's brought to our district. So congratulations to the sensei as well as to the student. So can we give these guys a big round of applause? That's awesome. All right, we have one last resolution. I'm going to jump into it, and I'm going to jump ahead of you, Dr. Shaw, because this is about you. So all the board members, including our student board members, we have a little gift from our administrative team just to acknowledge. November, you might not know, is National School Board Member Appreciation Month. Specifically, November 15th is just a national acknowledgement of school board members. This week, we go to our state conference. It's located in November. In the weekend before Thanksgiving, everyone at this table will be there, including these two gentlemen, to learn from school boards all across the state because November is National School Board Month. One thing I would say to people in the live stream and anybody in here, I think one of the most important things to recognize if you were watching last night on PBS like I was, the Ken Burns series on the American Revolution, and what was in the mind of these people, what were they thinking of when they conceived of our country? Now, some Brits will say that we were all tax evaders, and that's what that thing was about. But I think it was really about sort of this notion of autocracy into citizenship, and the idea is that citizens would self-govern. And if you want to go, in my mind, anywhere in America to really see citizens self-governing, you should go to a school board meeting, because it's one of the things that across the country it is similar, despite our differences, from Florida, where actually superintendents are elected, all the way to Oregon, where they have different rules too. But every state in the union, people sit for election to represent their community, and there's only a very, very few states where there's any kind of economic remuneration. They purely volunteer to govern a large public institution that has such an impact on our nation, and that's educating our youth. So they're really, really, really doing every inch and every hour is just out of the goodness of their heart. And that's democracy in action. That's, I think, the vision of the framers was citizens running local government. So we have a resolution. Whereas school board members selflessly volunteer countless hours to public service with no compensation are elected to sit in trust for their diverse communities, and in that capacity are charged with meeting the community's expectations and aspirations for the public education of their children. And whereas school board members are entrusted with the guardianship and prudent expenditure of tax dollars, they are responsible for maintaining and preserving the buildings, grounds, and other areas of the school district the community has put in their trust. And whereas school board members are responsible for providing leadership that ensures a clear, shared vision of public education for their schools, sets high standards for the education of all students, requires the effective and efficient operation of their districts, and employs district staff to carry out the day-to-day duties of educating students at Lockport Township High School District 205. And whereas school board members adopt public policy to give voice to that leadership and employ a superintendent to administer board policy, and are also responsible for the regular monitoring of the district's performance and compliance with state policy. And whereas school districts face constant challenges in the strong, dedicated leadership of people like Candace Garrettson, Wendy Strite, Tammy Hayes, Veronica Shaw, Ann Lopez Caneva, Luann Johnson, Michaeline Halloran, James Wyatt, Ryan Gleason, Abby Carroll, and Evelyn Schlodarchek. School districts face those challenges. There's leadership provided by the Lockport Township High School District 205 Board of Education. They've allowed student success to continue, and therefore be it resolved by the Lockport Township High School Board of Education that we proclaim November 17th as School Board Members Day here as a way to honor those citizens who devote their time and energy to the successful education of our children and future leaders. And yes, even though this is about you, you still have to vote to accept these resolutions. So, hey, can we give these board members a big round of applause? And enjoy your gift, too, just a small token.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So before we vote on the revolution, gosh, you were talking about this thing you were watching, and now I have that in my head. Resolution. I just want to thank all of our students that are here tonight for challenging yourselves. It's not easy to, make the choices that you've made to get the 36 on the ACT, to be a National Merit Commended student, to study abroad or do something like that. So thank you for what you're doing in order to set yourself up for the future. And it's a direct reflection also on the wonderful parents that you have here tonight with you. So thank you also to the parents for raising such wonderful human beings, and then, allowing us to work with them. So And then also to all of the ladies in the room, thank you. It has been a pleasure so far to work with each and every one of you. I appreciate every contribution that you have made to this board, and your voice is absolutely valued here. So thank you all. So, do I have a motion to accept the resolutions as presented?
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Ms. Garrettson, second by Ann Lopez Caneva. Okay. Is it a voice vote? All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Do you want us to do board salutes, or do you want me to?
It's up to you, Madam President.
Okay. So next we do have our board salutes. You are welcome to stay to hear them and hear all of the wonderful things that the board members are experiencing throughout the school district, but also we're going on to our regular board business. So if you have things you have to do this evening, you are welcome to leave as well. So thank you for coming this evening.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Congrats.
Thank you.
No takers. Okay.
Hey, Rudy.
Okay, board salutes.
I'll start. There's so much going on, so I've just chosen one because I'm sure somebody will cover the sports. It's happening. I was able to make it to this STEM and Step Up Night at Central last week, and it was amazing. It was a packed house. There was just a buzz in the air, the excitement from all the families and the students and traveling around. And then we had all the clubs that were set up. You could walk around and see and talk to everybody and just learn a little bit about the clubs. They could sign up for them right there by giving information. I guess get on the list, so to speak. And then they had the robotics. I was able to bump into Ryan and try out his robot that they created. It was really amazing. It was really amazing. So thanks for putting that on.
I have a board salute. I'd want to thank Mrs. Crosby and guidance and everyone involved with the career week, getting all those speakers here. I know it was a lot to organize, I bet. And I think a lot of our students learned valuable information because I know I did.
Right. I just want to give my board salute to Miss Angela Adolph for doing that food drive. $28,000 worth of food to feed all that family. It's amazing. And I was so glad that these local organizations and local grocery stores were able to help out feed our families. But thank you, especially at this crucial time with the SNAP benefits being, delayed or, but thank you so much for everything.
My board salute is, I want to salute the staff that put together that special board meeting last month that we talked about, the report card and how to interpret it. I know you got a lot that you have to do during the day, during the week, but to also put time in to do that, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Just to add on to that, I had that sitting on my desk. I need to get a couple extra copies from Dr. McBride because everybody kept coming in saying hey, what is that? I need to see that. So it was beautiful. So thank you for doing that.
Also, Angela, my church does a food pantry, and I know the great need that's out there. Thank you for heading one up here in Lockport, because the report, being in the circle of food pantries, you get to hear all the need and where it is. And I know Lockport has a tremendous need. Thank you.
I attended the Gold Card dinner, so that was my second year, and I appreciate the work that goes into putting that on, and the students who did a great job of serving and interacting with the Gold Card members. It's always such a nice thing to see the community come out and support one another, and then also the school, and then as they went on to go see the play, The Spelling Bee, which I did go and see, and that was a laugh riot. It was fun. The kids did a great job. and I enjoyed myself a lot. And it's again just something to see that the caliber of the talent that our students and our staff have, because it takes a lot of time to get something like that up and running and executed the way that they did. So thanks for all the work for that.
I'd like to thank the staff for putting together so many wonderful opportunities for our students to volunteer. I know that sometimes I hear from parents that they don't know what to have their students volunteer to do, and the school does such a good job laying out volunteer opportunities, and my own daughter has been participating, and she came back just elated from working with the other kids. She met kids that she didn't usually meet during her day. So I just encourage parents to take advantage of those emails that we get and open them up and look at all the options that are available to the kids, because there's quite a few, and it's more than just volunteer opportunity. It's about meeting other kids, and it's about being involved with the really wonderful opportunities we have here. So I'm very grateful. Thank you.
So I guess a couple things. One that Ms. O'Halloran was alluding to, congratulations to our volleyball team. So I got to see all of those pictures on Instagram. Just the coaches, the athletes, the parents. I mean, what a great run for the season. And then obviously we're celebrating our football team that is, heading to Oswego this Saturday at 5 p.m. So like you said the other day, it's giving 2021 vibes. So
Just, the superstitions
Yep.
are coming. We just need to chill out. Contain yourself. They want to win too.
you're right. Congratulations to our PR department on all of those wonderful
Yeah.
awards. So very nice job. You guys do wonderful. And then I guess just to every staff member, dean, administrator in this district, man, it is November in a school district right now. It's like the preseason to what's going to come in the spring. And I think that we are all feeling it right now.
Preseason's long.
It is,
That phrase
it's
is
long.
going to stick, Dr. Shaw.
What's that?
That phrase is going to stick. We're just going to look at each other and say it's preseason.
It's preseason right now. Just wait till the spring. So, all right.
All right.
Student board reports.
All right, so James and I would first like to thank you guys. We are sitting board members, as Dr. McBride mentioned, but we're only here because of you and because you want to hear our voices, and we really appreciate that. So thank you, all of you. First, we want to talk about the superintendent's advisory meeting. We went over the 8-period day and some facility stuff. We talked about Porter Stadium, and everyone was almost all in favor of renovating the bathrooms, getting those outhouses out. We had a few students mention LED lights and a light show. Apparently Sandberg had a very cool light show, and they were curious if we could do that here.
In the way of the student streets, we presented that to the Superintendent's Advisory Council, Dr. McBride did. And the students just had a few questions about like flexible student seating and like what that area would look like if it were to be approved. They wanted to see it more as like a multi-purpose area where they could work and like just not just be like there for like one confined area, but like a flowing area, I guess.
Yeah, they mentioned JJC's cafeteria, how it's like a little more spread out, multi-purpose. And we also did a little poll on who has ever had confusion with the guidance department, and about a third of students stood up and said they had trouble with guidance. So I thought you guys might want to hear that as like a student perspective.
On the discipline committee, students are working to visit BIC, and they're also highlighting how vaping in the bathrooms is like a big issue. And they're going to work towards steps like they want to see maybe if it would be possible to get vape sensors in the bathroom, and then also maybe electronic passes at East. I don't know how that would work, but it was just ideas that were thrown out.
And another thing about, we want to talk about 8-period days. That was one of the main focuses of the advisory meeting. There's been whispers among students and teachers about like AP and cooking classes possibly having like an extended period, like maybe 1.5 blocks instead of just one. Reason being, cooking, you got to clean up. Sometimes that takes a lot more time. And AP labs sometimes get lengthy. So we had a couple people mention that.
And then also traveling students, just seeing how that would work out for them.
Mhm.
Because I don't know how it would work, like going back and forth between the buildings if they have to.
And then we also want to highlight what James and I have been doing. I was at a Step Up Night, as mentioned. We had a great night, tons of people, probably thousands. Great presentations, great support from all our clubs. Those tables were filled with representatives and people curious.
And then that same night was the NHS induction. We had 254 students that were inducted to NHS based on service, leadership, character, and scholarship. I was there. I was part of the night, reading some of the names off and stuff. And I thought it's great that we have more students going into NHS because it just shows their commitment to their community.
In terms of what we're doing over the next month, we've got Triple I. I'm sure a lot of you are aware of that, but James, Evelyn, Abby, and I will be there Friday. We're doing some student board conferences, and we're pretty excited to see how that's going to go. We're going to take a lot of notes.
And then tomorrow night is AP Parent Night. I'll be there, so I'll be speaking a little bit. And then I can also report that students are definitely excited to have the full week off at Thanksgiving.
I'm sure.
Do you guys have any questions about anything we talked about?
So as far as the electronic passes, does our student information system already have the capability of that?
To do like a 45 plus class, to do like a class and a half.
No. For electronic passes.
Oh, for electronic passes.
Zip in a campus or
Yeah, I didn't hear you at the
I'm seeing
beginning.
nods back there. So
Yeah,
tech
yeah. I'm
guys.
sorry, I didn't hear the beginning of what you said.
okay.
I don't know. Are you nodding yes?
Okay.
Yeah, so we've been piloting maybe 3 weeks at Central Campus. It's been working well. We in the fall we bought new scanners for taking attendance. Right when they swipe in, they're now touch screens, so that when kids do come and go, they can just touch the screen that they're going out on a pass. And just today, some iPads in the cases and barcode scanners, like these all-in-one thingies, showed up. We have to configure them, but the dean's assistants and different people will have those with them in the hallways and be able to scan a kid's ID, see where they're headed, where they work, like what the pass is for, and all those sorts of things. So it's fully running or on its way.
On its way. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I ask a question about the electronic
Yeah.
passes? Sure. How do you, if a student needs to initiate a pass, are they self-initiated or does the staff member have to initiate it?
The student just literally walks up, touches the screen, and
And then they scan their ID.
They scan their ID, it issues a pass, and then when they come back, they do the same exact thing and scan back.
Okay.
So it's timestamped every time they enter.
So if you leave your classroom, go to the nurse will see how long you were in the hall, if it was excessive, and deans and other people can too if there's an issue coming back and forth.
But obviously, it's initiated through a conversation with the teacher. May I go to? Yes. Okay.
Because currently, right now, they don't have to scan to leave the,
Correct.
just when they take attendance and walk in.
Teachers were writing out passes.
Oh,
Yeah, they were writing on hand.
a lot of,
And there's kiosks set up in every classroom?
Yeah, their daily period attendance has been taken via students swiping
For a while.
This is the
A long
5th
time.
year.
it's a long time, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite some time.
What's this concern about guidance? A third of the students say
Concern about what, Luann? I'm sorry.
Guidance.
Yeah, why don't you? I think I'll translate it for you, but then you guys amplify it. I think one of the things we've been exploring is there's good evidence across the hall from guidance where you have technology assistance center. No one knew where that was. It was completely mysterious. It was in the corner of the library. Where was it? Well, Matt had this really interesting plan to open it up, to have, glass windows to transition the space, students work in there. Everybody knows where Technology Assistance Center is. Now everybody knows how to use it. So students will tell us, if you just visually walk down to where student services is located, it doesn't have much of a visual appeal. You don't know what's behind there. You don't know what offices, what goes on there, who's in there, why are they in there, what are they in there? Is that the dean's office? And so students have said that there's a certain amount of mystery surrounding the physical setup that inhibits students from using it. And so the minute that you make something a little bit more open and more accessible, and people can see what goes on there, and also if you see other students in there, then you tend to say, oh, that's how that place is used. And it's more familiar and it's more inviting. Is that a pretty good summary, Ryan?
Couldn't have said it better.
Okay. Right. And this has been a long-running concern of Superintendent's Advisory Council, and it really gets to if you don't really know what goes on there, and there's an extremely low curb profile of those offices, then you're not likely to go in there. So part of what we're talking with facility and finance, and you'll hear more about, and I've asked Kathy to schedule some small workshops with 2 or 3 of you, is kind of a vision for really right down here all the way down to the maroon room to sort of reconceive that space. It's something that's come through our Facility Master Planning Council. It's something staff members have brought up. We just don't have a very modern sort of approach to a kind of common student area. I think JJC, I go there quite a bit, is a really good example of a very sort of open concept right when you walk in the A building. That people understand how do you use student services. You know, the space implies how you use the place.
Can you guys expand more on your concerns about the vaping?
I can definitely expand on that. So I know that they're diligently working to like figure out all the kids that are vaping in the bathroom, but usually when I go into the bathroom, there are kids vaping in there. And it's kind of disappointing because it's like you go in there and they're vaping and there's kids that have to use the bathroom, and it's like, what are we going to do about this? Because it's like every single time I use the bathroom. And sometimes I do say stuff to them, like if I'm in the locker room, then I'll say something because I'm a gym leader, so I'm like, this isn't okay. Like, you need to think about your body. Like, you have 50 more years to live. How are you going to use your body, and what are you going to do about it? So I think something needs to be done. Like, there's a breaking point, and I think we need to get there.
And it's my understanding that one of the ways that we've been managing some of the vaping problems in the bathroom is to close off bathrooms in places throughout the building. Is that true?
That is true. I think it's kind of upsetting because like I'll go to the bathroom during the cafeteria, and it's like that one will be closed, and then I'll walk down to this one. That one might be closed. So then I got to go walk around somewhere.
Dr. Johnson, are we closing bathrooms because of vaping? My understanding is it's a facilities issue, James. Like literally that bathroom has a urinal that's overflowing. So it's closed, you know.
Like not for vaping, but for bathroom issues, like something broke down, we need to get, someone has to come fix the facilities, but not to just completely close down the bathroom.
What we have done is you'll see school counselors, especially in the mornings, they're standing outside of bathrooms. We're monitoring kids walking out of bathrooms, how long kids are in bathrooms, and we're sending dean's assistants into bathrooms. Pretty easy if you have, feet underneath those stalls, standing, you know what's going on. But it's a lot of territory to cover, right? A lot of territory to cover. So,
I just have one question.
yeah.
So you know the bathroom that's upstairs, that's like right by the history?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, will that be fixed soon? Because it's been a couple weeks.
Yes, Mr. Ammer's on it.
It's just like interesting when you go in there.
Just something interesting to note about the vape detectors, because I hear you mention them. Yes, they go off. Yes, the dean's office gets alerted, but then it's very hard to discern who's off, if it's especially during a passing period, like, all right, now who did it? So then you're pulling tons of kids into the dean's office, depending on, how people want to work through that. So just be patient with the dean's office.
I do notice that it is like the exact same kids every single time I go in there. And it's like...
It's what, James? It's
like
D?
The same students.
Oh, it's the
Exact
same
same.
students. I thought you said a word. Sorry, I'm having a hard time hearing tonight. God, I didn't hear the first word you said.
Like
yeah.
it's mostly the same students because like I'll go to the bathroom like usually around the same time, and then I notice those same students, and it's like there might be a dean's assistant in this bathroom, so then they go to the other bathroom, and then they notice that the dean's assistant they switch it up, so then they go to this one. So the kids are sneaky; they know what to do. They know how to get
Wait a
around
minute.
it.
No
Wait a minute. High
way.
school students being sneaky?
They know how to get around it, so it's like
yeah, you got it.
Thank you for that information, though. I'm sure
Yeah,
it's very helpful.
very much
for
so.
everyone here. Okay, Ms. Kishline.
She is
Not
she
here?
is had a flight canceled. She was
Oh.
coming back from a trip, and she had a flight canceled, or delayed, I should say. So she's not going to join us tonight.
Got it. ISB report.
Time has come.
Your packet, you should have a packet in front of you, with your information for the, triple I. And if you have any questions or concerns, give Kathy a
Yeah, I would recommend. I'm not too proud to beg. Kathy has assembled this packet, and it is in here. I mean, if you have any question, your expenses, where you're supposed to be, when is it, if you're going to a reception, how do you get the tickets, what workshop are you in, what hotel are you staying in? It's like Kathy's travel agency. It is in here. The only thing is that there's no like paper plane tickets. Remember when you used to get those? So please really consult it. You have my cell phone number. When we're at Triple I always tell board members it's best to call me directly because I'm there. If you call Kathy, she'll likely call me if we have some kind of issue, and it'll come to me, anyway, right? If you need any parking advice, we all are veterans down there. We recommend you do something like Spot Hero and don't count on the hotels and their parking because it fills up really, really quickly. So it is literally in here. Friday, I think everybody is signed up for workshops, and just remember that comes with a breakfast and a lunch. And then Friday evening, we generally do a board dinner, and we're all set with that as well. So that'll be fun. I was polling you earlier who might go to the football game Saturday night, so we got a little sense of that. And that's a fun night too in the city. And then I'm still talking to Eric Sickbird about the time for the luncheon that we usually have with DLA, just because with the game and people leaving and then sessions, I think we're just going to stick with noon because there are sessions that end at 11:30, get to lunch, sessions that start again at 1:30. That's enough to get lunch. So. Right. And then you are not required to do this, but everybody has, again, in your binder, you've got sort of the slip that you can turn in. This is not the most exciting or glamorous packet this year. It's a lot of rules and procedures. And really, when you get down to it, the resolutions that Luann can vote on, I would recommend that they're resolutions about resolutions, really. I would recommend that we adopt all of them. They're just good rules clarification about who can propose a rule, how is a rule amended, who can change a rule or a resolution. What about an emergency situation in IASB if there's something like COVID? So I recommend reading up that Luann can vote however she wants. She's our delegate, but I recommend our board would adopt. And this is just a way for Luann, if you fill this out, it's at the very back sheet. We gave everybody a copy. There's not one in here for some reason. Yeah, that's what it looks like. Yeah, it looks like this. Yeah, it's in your binder too. It's a great event. It's a great way to learn from other board members.
Does anybody have any questions on the writing of the resolution? This lady review.
Foundation report.
Sure, why not, Angela? Yeah, just anything you want to spotlight or highlight?
Good evening. So I did want to just touch real quick, try really hard, touch real quick on just the profound impact our community has in just our local kind of square miles of where Lockport Township High School is. That food drive was an idea that Bob and I talked about the Tuesday prior. So to be able to go from nothing to 400 bags of food with 25 businesses and all of that was really something to kind of behold. And I know some of our board members were outside directing traffic, handing food out, doing all the things on the coldest day that we've had. And I remember I was sort of like, please don't let it rain. I'd rather have snow. And so when it snowed, I was very dismayed that that was the request that was given. So, but just really a true testament to our community and just how people feel about the high school. They felt safe, and I had my husband directing traffic, and just the amount of people that were coming through and just the gratitude that people had. So I'm grateful that our school is able to do something like that. I don't know if I saw other schools that were doing anything similar, but I'm proud that ours did. And we had 88 people sign up to help. Many of those I don't know who, I've never known them who they are. I did, if I know you, you did probably get an email from me, but if I didn't know you, you still saw it and reached out to help, including people that just blindly donated. It was really something to be a part of. So I'm glad, really glad we're able to do it. I'm glad that we're able to continue to help our students with a few more opportunities before Thanksgiving. And I also wanted to highlight, just so they hear me, is that there are over 75 scholarships the foundation is offering this year. When I started, there were about 15. So you guys have the benefit of a whole lot more opportunity. And I often say to students, if they're ever bothering to listen to me, there's about 100 kids on that stage, and we give out a couple $100,000. The math is really in your favor, so you should apply. A lot of them are very specific. Some of them are very broad. But if School Links will be your friend come December. My advice is wait to get accepted to the school first and then apply to scholarships. So share that with friends. They're not just for you, they're for everybody. But we're really proud of that. It's great to see the impact of the foundation kind of just sort of come to life over the last few years. It's really been something to be a part of. And then of course the Nutcracker, which I'm excited for. I love that we can host that right here in our community. Super accessible, very reasonably priced. It's a nice Christmas option for our families and our community. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Angela. Great job.
All right, legislative report.
Oh, so many different things. We're in the veto session. Just the ones that I would very, very, very quickly highlight for you. Probably the two biggest are Tier 2 reform. Employees in the state of Illinois who pay into the teacher retirement system have been organized through recent changes into Tier 1 and Tier 2. Tier 1 folks like myself and most of the people behind me have the benefit of being eligible at 55 years of age, 35 years of service. 2 years of sick leave can go towards your 35 years of service. When TRS did a reorganization, Tier 2, there's a timeline. Tier 2 employees, the minimum retirement age is 67. And the issue that's brewing hot and heavy that could be a legal issue is how can I be in a classroom, if I was a classroom teacher, I'm doing the same job, I'm making the same contribution to a pension annuity system, but across the hall, someone has a different benefit than me. Mm-hmm. So that's, the legislators tried to reform that before there's legal action that says that, people of equal jobs cannot have different benefits, right? That Tier 2 reform did not get done either in the regular session or the veto session. I think it's germane to boards, because what's happening all over right now is as boards negotiate with their licensed staff, they're putting in incentives that address Tier 2, because now at this stage there are more Tier 2 employees in the state than Tier 1. And that will certainly be the case in our own district soon. We'll have more Tier 2 than Tier 1. And to keep people and attract people, will we put incentives in there? We can talk about that later. The other is some FOIA and Open Meetings Act requirement easing. One, for example, is we've all experienced a lot of AI, Autobot, FOIA requests that are clearly appear not to be human. And we've been navigating that, and simply a law was enacted that if we think that's so when we respond, are you human or are you Mr. Smith, and we get no response, we don't have to fulfill that FOIA. So things like that. Quite a bit that went on immigration. There was a bill that got knocked down in the veto session that was giving school districts what's called a right of action. But many legislators felt we already have that right of action. We have so many policies and procedures that govern how any law enforcement accesses a campus or students. So it seemed to be redundant and not necessarily needed. I've been updating the board on increasingly federal action is having an impact on us. So trying to keep a list, SNAP benefits, we're in peril. We have a high low-income population. You know, that can impact us. Quest has done a great job as well to come alongside and support food for students who are on free and reduced lunch. There's some things in here that there's some additional things from a breakfast that I attended, but in terms of the federal things, title grants, we're all wondering about guidance from U.S. Department of Education on title grants and when that's coming. And will that be coming? And that money's been authorized, but when can we expect that? We did not receive our COPS grant. We applied to the Department of Justice for a COPS grant. Who knows if that's related to the federal shutdown or not, but we did not receive it. You already know we can't file our audit because we don't have guidance on how to account for title grants. Perkins grant, our Perkins grant money, when last I checked, I think it's frozen up now because we got a big fat check. I mean, it's unfrozen now. For a while, we did not know if we were going to be able to disperse that money and then SNAP. So just a number of different things going on. Any questions about that? Okay.
All right. Public comment follow-up?
Public comment. I think, you know, what the board always does is whenever we have public comment, we have two young women from Fellowship of Christian Athletes. You know, we have different people who respond. In my mind, that's a sort of textbook principal job, and then also policy. So what we did is the way that we worked that response is Dr. Green and Dr. Johnson spent a lot of time meeting with the students from Fellowship of Christian Athletes. At the same time, I want to talk to our attorneys from Robin Schwartz. As I talk to other superintendents, there's a lot of probing of all sorts of political and religious groups. And the primary reason is there's been a reinterpretation of the Equal Access Act. Equal Access Act has what's called the Establishment Clause. It establishes a purpose and a reason for this. And it's being reinterpreted to look differently, to create some possibility for public schools to use public resources and public funds towards political and religious groups. So we did meet with our attorneys from Robin Schwartz to find out what are those boundaries. We have a reinterpretation, but we don't have hard and fast guidelines yet. There's a theory, reinterpretation, but we don't have those kind of guidelines from the U.S. Department of Education. This only impacts us because we do receive federal funds. So we did two things. We established with our attorneys some leeway for equal access groups, and then Dr. Johnson and Dr. Green met with the group and came up with a whole list that I included in your update on Friday of the different types of things, PA announcements, things on the website, that under the current interpretation of equal access are permissible. The care that we have to have as a public institution is we want to be even, we want to be consistent. For example, just to give you one that still is in the current reinterpretation of equal access, having someone come from the outside to do instruction, having a youth pastor, a regional director, an imam, a political representative come into the school, meet with a group of students, and do sort of what would be instruction in that religion or in that political cause is still not part of equal access under the current reinterpretation in our board policy. So I think we had a good conclusion that ended with a very nice email from one of the students feeling that their needs were addressed. So kudos to Dr. Green and Dr. Johnson. They did a great job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
No. All right, public comments, there are none. Communication, Ms. Garrettson?
There is one. Dear Mr. McBride, staff and students, thank you to the staff, students, and all involved in making the Golden Club dinner such a wonderful evening every year. We look forward to attending this event to start off the upcoming holiday season. Wishing you all a very happy, healthy, and blessed holiday season and year. Again, thank you, Felix and Glenda Gumina.
Okay. All right, and we have some FOIA requests. They're in the board docs if anybody needs them. Are there any questions about those? Okay. Okay, next we have our approval items. Approval of open session minutes. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the October 20th, 2025 board meeting? All right, motion by Luann Johnson.
I'll second.
Second by Ms. O'Halloran. Roll call.
Johnson? Yes. Garrison?
Yes.
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 Yes. Do I have a motion to approve the closed session minutes from the October 20th, 2025 board meeting?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Lopez Canevis, second by Ms. Johnson. Roll call.
Johnson? Yes. O'Halloran?
Yes.
Lopez Caniva?
Yes.
Bright?
Yes.
Garrison?
Yes.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the October 27th, 2025 Committee of the Whole meeting?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Garrettson,
I'll second.
second by Ms. O'Halloran. Roll call.
Bright?
Yes.
Garrison?
Yes.
Johnson? Yes. Lopez Caniva?
Abstain?
O'Halloran?
Yes.
Abstain. All right, board expenses, there are none. Treasurer's report.
Good evening. Treasurer's report for the month of October. I guess the only things I want to point out that are different this month is the enrollment projection has been updated. Dr. McBride, would you click on that for me, please? Yes, thank you very much. So this is the enrollment projection we do is a straight cohort projection model. So what that means is I collect all the information from the feeder districts, from our sender districts of what their enrollment is now that their fall housing numbers have been submitted. And I use that to create ratios of every year from year to year what happens with the students, right? So a kindergartner this year, next year becomes a first grader, et cetera, until they get to us. And looking at those patterns of like increases and decreases. Do we lose some or do we gain some as they move, right? And that method, those calculations get us what our enrollment looks like. So the nice part is we have like 9 years of data, right? Kindergarten through 8th grade from all of our sender districts, including the St. Joseph, St. Denis data. So we've called and got that information as well. And so what you'll see here is the current enrollment and a few historical years, and then where we are now and where we will go over the next 5 years based on this particular model, right? Like weather, there are different models to project the enrollment, but this trend is kind of what we've expected over the last, 5 years or so. We've expected a little bit of a decrease, and then we kind of go back up again and level off. So this is the numerical values or view, and Dr. McBride, if you would go to the next screen, you'll see it in a graph form. So you'll see we had our high enrollment period back in the middle of COVID years. That was when we were at our highest at this point. And then we've gradually dropped down. We expect to get to kind of a low in the next year or two, and then we'll start to go back up a little bit based on the center district's enrollment, okay? And then just to take a quick look at the center district enrollment, that's the last graph in this. This is just it's a history of where each of the districts have been. They're pretty stable this year. There's not much up or down at all, really. And you'll see the District 92, I think, might have been the only one this year that had any growth. Everybody else was just a smidge low or stayed the same. Any questions on that kind of projection? It goes right along with the demographic report we've had before that we expect to be updating, that we don't have more kids, but we have different kids, because this says nothing about their needs, their educational needs, right? This is literally straight numbers. Do we need space for kids? And this basically tells us we have space for the number of students we have. Now, the needs of their programming, that's a whole nother conversation. But are there any questions about the enrollment model?
The guy who did our,
Troy McKibben, yeah.
is this following the pattern?
Oh yeah, it's right on the numbers, because by about 2032 he predicted we'd be down by about 300, 400. That's where this is leading. And then he predicted by 2032 we'd bounce back. You'd see kind of an upward swing. So it's right on the money.
And on the financial front, Dr. McBride, would you please navigate to the financial reports? We're back to our, September was our collection of our fall taxes. So, we're at the 12 months cash on hand mark because of that. And we'll start going down as we see the next 4 months, 5 months until we collect spring. So later in the agenda, the board will see the tentative tax levy for 2025. And those projections for that tax levy are what's in the budget numbers, with one little tweak of increasing the new property slightly, right? Just to make sure that we capture it all. So we can talk about that now or later. It's up to Dr. McBride and board.
Yeah, I think probably now would be a good, if it's okay with you, Dr. Shaw, questions about the levy. We spoke to the Finance and Facility Committee last week. Mrs. Hayes, the only member of that committee who couldn't attend, had a conflict this evening that didn't allow her to be with us. With your permission, Anne and Candace, we had most of our conversation about the levy was in regard to new property estimates. So when new property, newer buildings, commercial or residential, come onto the tax rolls for the first time, the way that the property tax extension limitation law works is they come in and they pay a higher amount. What Stephanie has to do is Stephanie has to estimate how much new property do we expect will be taxed. If Stephanie is if she underestimates it, if she says, oh, I think we have $30 million in new property, and then actually it's $40 million, that $10 million, we don't see that tax revenue. If Stephanie is right there, we receive that tax revenue. So it's important to have as accurate as we can have of new property. And the county clerk adjusts that on the back end based on the reality of what it is. We talked quite a bit about that, because those new taxpayers do pay at a higher rate. And that's what does lead into, an influx of cash into your coffers. One of the things that I mentioned, I would just really, with the board, taxation is your cash flow. And I would always advise that you want to be as thoughtful about as you can about your cash flow, and not strategically do anything that might, you might decide on your own, we want to lessen our cash flow. Where we've really managed tax control is on the back end with debt service abatement, which we're going to again this year recommend that you give taxpayers a discount on paying your debt payments. Took on a new debt payment last spring, and you have some existing debt payments. we would recommend that you use fund balances to pay that rather than passing it on to the taxpayers. What that doesn't do, a debt service abatement still gives a rebate of about the same amount of money, but it doesn't have an impact on your cash flow. So let me just pause right there for a moment. And that's really what the levy is all about. The levy is all about maintaining an appropriate cash flow so you can do the things that you need to do to meet your budget. What sometimes happens is I have seen boards of education do some maneuvers to slow their cash flow. It is extremely difficult for you as a board, extremely difficult to do anything to your levy that will end up as a huge tax break for taxpayers because you do not control the assessed value of their homes. So year after year, when someone says this is the increase in your assessed value, that will always cause an increase in taxes that there's almost no amount of cutting that you can do reasonably that can catch up with that. There's still taxpayers, you guys, homeowners, you're still going to pay more because your home is now assessed at a higher level and that pushes everything up.
Yeah, and I think it was under the agenda item, the tax levy agenda item, you did a great job of illustrating like in Homer, some houses, and then in Lockport. And you see the tax rate go down, however, the value of the home went up and the taxes went up.
Right.
So
even if you as a board, you have a budget, you're not deficit spending, you're balancing your budget, Illinois State Report Card will say you're spending 16% less than you should. You should be spending, State of Illinois says you should be spending 16% more per year on student programs to get the achievement that you should. Even though you're doing all that and reducing the tax rate, that's something you control. You don't control the value of a person's property, and that's the lever that really impacts taxes the most. If you impact your cash flow, with the levy, that stays with you moving forward forever. You never catch that up.
As Dr. Shaw referred, there in the item for the approval of the tentative tax levy for 2025, there is an attachment that shows 2 illustrative homes and what their tax bills the line for Lockport Township High School would look like on their tax bill. It looks like Dr. McBride is navigating to it. And so if you were to look at this live, which we did do in the Finance Committee meeting, if you put the value the same, then their bill actually goes down. The homeowner's bill goes down if their value of their home doesn't go up at all. But there's no control over that piece, and that piece is growing more than our levy is, right? So the increases in the assessed values are like 7%. Out of our control, we didn't pick that 7%, but existing homeowners are our levy, how our levy impacts existing homeowners is tied to CPI. So we can't ask for more than 2.9% from those existing homeowners. So that's why this is impacted the way it is, right? And so these illustrations too, because they're a comparison to the prior year, and in 2024, the board abated the debt service levies. There's no debt service levy in the number for 2024, and there's no debt service levy in the number for 2025 up here either. If the board were to choose not to do that, then our 2025 numbers our rate would be higher, because the assumption in these examples is we're continuing to abate. So we'll see what the next year brings, but yeah, that's what these illustrative examples are to show what I expect the board to want to do.
And the important thing to remember as board members is we've already approved the budget, okay? And Stephanie has crunched all the numbers and done all of the wonderful work that she does in order to determine what that levy looks like, because now this is how we fund. The number that we've already determined is what is going to allow our school district to function in the way that it currently does. So,
yeah, that's where when the budget's done, when the board approves the budget, there's already a levy assumption in there, and there has to be, otherwise the budget wouldn't be fully funded. The way that Illinois has local taxes being the primary source of, that's Illinois law, right? It's the primary source of our funding. And because of that, we have to, one tax levy year funds half a fiscal year and then half of the next fiscal year. So this levy that's being approved in December by the board will fund the spring and it'll fund next fall. It's split over 2 fiscal years. Just the way that the cycles run, they don't run the same. So, any questions about that process or the estimates? So the purpose of the board approving a tentative tax levy tonight is a couple of reasons. Notice to the public, right? That's one piece, of course. The other piece is the law says that the board needs to do the calculation of what a tentative would be to make sure that it's not more than 5% of the previous year. If it is, then there are statutory requirements where we have to have a public hearing and we have to do public notice, and there was very specific rules about what that public notice needs to look like. The estimated increase here is not more than 5%, it's 4.14, I think. So there's no need for either of those, publication or public hearing. However, right, as soon as the board approves the tentative levy, we'll put it on our website. So there is still public notice by this board meeting, by our agenda on this board meeting, agenda on the next board meeting. And just because we're not holding a public hearing does not mean the public can't come speak to it. They can speak to any topic on the agenda, right? So there's still things we do to make sure that the public knows that this is the tax levy that we're approving. We just don't have to follow the specific black box ad in the newspaper and a separate public hearing because we're not asking for more than 5%. There are a lot of school districts across the state that, to make sure that they don't have to worry about what the new property number is, they always do that. They always will do the public hearing. They will always do the black box ad, and they will always say that our levy increase is 6%, just to make sure that they're going to get it. Now, what will happen is when the counties, whatever county they're in, when they get the actual new property figures, they will compute what the actual increase is, and it usually doesn't come anywhere close to that, right? They're only doing that.
Much less.
They're balloon levying to make sure that they don't lose any new property. So we have not done that here. We've done as close of estimate as we can, and we're usually fairly close because we do get very good data from our Will County assessor and clerk friends and treasurer's office friends. So they provide a lot of good data to our business managers in the area. So we're usually pretty close.
And the final thing I was going to point out is that Mrs. Corey has also updated your 5-year financial forecast, which I think is so important for board
This
members.
one's not updated, Dr. McBride. We updated it for finance and facilities.
This is not updated.
Because we were
She
tentatively.
hasn't done anything.
So
Completely didn't update this.
we were going to update it.
Right. But in general, with this, you can kind of see the big picture. In 2025, we're at a high water mark because we brought in $15 million. And the strategy that the board has been using is to use fund balances, not deplete fund balances, but use fund balances to debt service abate, but also use a portion of fund balances on building projects, but also use a healthy fund balance to get a good credit rating on future financing. And really, my recommendation as superintendent is to do some of the facilities work that you have to do, you will have to finance. I would not recommend that going to the voters is an option. I think we have a lot of data that shows that. I think we have people who have directly said, please use the tools that you have at your disposal to take care of these facilities. So you'll see how that fund balance goes down and it'll get updated, but it doesn't completely bottom out. On the horizon, we have 2 labor negotiations this year. Next year, we have to factor that in. So it kind of, again, all the assumptions that Stephanie has made in the levy predict some of those expenses that you're going to have way out. She's kind of thinking of your cash flow 2, 3, 4, 5 years out, not just this year.
So what we did what Dr. McBride's referring to is in the Finance and Facility Committee meeting, we did model, we actually looked at the projection model that these reports come from, and I have 2 different starts of the 5-year financial projection that we kind of talked about. I did not update it in here because we're kind of waiting for some facility master planning things to settle a little bit more so that I have better capital project data, right? But we did model what the estimated cost of the 8 period day would look like with adding new staff having retired staff retirements fall off too, they kind of actually help mitigate that a little bit over the next few years, right? Because over the next 4 years, we know how many licensed staff are retiring. And then we are estimating how many we'll need for next year as well, with about 20. And then the other piece that's in there is the debt service abatement is still in there as well. So the last piece that wasn't in that projection that we talked about at Finance and Facilities is the big capital pieces. The projection, as we looked at it at that meeting, was level, right? So just use up the $15 million to finish the central work this summer on life safety, and then keep, I think there's like $1.6 or $1.7 million in there each year, because it was just what happened to be in the budget of general capital expenses, no major capital expenses. So nothing that the master facility planning is talking about, not the student street, not the stadium improvements, things like that. Those aren't in there in that cash flow projection, the 5-year projection, because we don't really have decisions made yet by the board.
Right, a firm direction.
Who's going to do, what do you want to do first? How much do you want to do? Do we want to do the roof phases first? Do we want to do the student street first? I don't have any of that information to decide where they go in the 5-year. So in the winter months here, that will be updated, but isn't quite yet. Any other questions on tax levy or financial projections or the monthly finance reports?
Just one clarification question. Going again to the Will County assessors, you'll put in for the amount of the levy, but again, just a reminder that the clerk actually settles it out, so to speak. So when that comes along, that's kind of, regardless of what we ask for, this is
correct.
They settle it down.
It'll always be lower. They won't raise it, right? So if we don't, because what happens is we still have, it's November, we still have till December 31st to see how many more properties are finished and have applied for their permit, their occupancy permits, right? That's when they become taxable. So we'll get new property finalization at the end of December, and then our levy will be filed in December by law, and then the county clerk will take all that information, figure out our total assessed value across all of our district, and compute based on what our levy is, compute what our rate will be with the actual properties. And then we'll get our actual, I want to say it's in February or March, I think, that I get a sheet from the county that says, okay, here's what your estimated rate looks, and it's at that opportunity that we could move things around between funds if we had to. Say we need more money in operations and maintenance but we typically don't do that because that process is built in the budget. So we usually don't have to make adjustments at that point because we've already done it by looking at the budgeted expenditures. So usually I'm just getting that form, confirming that it looks accurate, and sending it back so tax bills can get sent out in June.
Thanks.
Okay.
Bless you.
If there are no more questions.
Any additional questions? Okay. So do I have a motion to approve the October 2025 Treasurer's Report? This is not the tentative levy, just the financials for October. Okay.
Second.
All right, motion by Luann Johnson, second by Candace Garrettson. Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, on to, okay. All right, on to the board president's report. So you want me to mention this now? Okay, so there is a green card in everybody's folder. Bob is asking just that to set up meetings with everyone, so if you could select that before they leave today.
That would be great. It's a little form. We're trying to, just for the board on some finance and facility issues, just like we did with the budget, just get some pair time, some trio time to really go with Stephanie Croy, Brian Amer, and myself a little bit deeper into the questions Stephanie talked about with facilities to get a real understanding of them.
Dr. McBride and I also just touched base recently about our just partnership with our feeder districts or our sender districts. We did have another, from the last meeting to the next one, December 3rd, I believe was the date.
December 4th.
Sorry. A lot of dates rolling around.
It's all right. Don't worry about
December 4th was the next time we plan to meet. It does seem like we have some other districts that are looking forward to coming, and just looking forward to continuing our partnership with that. So.
And we're trying to get in touch with Prairie Bluff. We can't get our calls. We were thinking that would be a nice place to meet.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for a place. But
Okay.
I would recommend if you put out to your list and I'll talk to Fairmont, just, hey, December 4th.
Okay.
Right?
All right. Sounds like a
Place
plan.
to be determined, you know.
All
But
right.
we have not heard back. We're calling.
Yeah. And then obviously we got our packets for Triple I this weekend. Looking forward to spending some time with everyone. So that's all I have for tonight.
All right.
Superintendent's update?
Okay, superintendent's update. I've got lots of friends joining me tonight. We've got, why don't all my friends come on up? Lisa Johnson, Lori Cristofero is going to come up. I don't know if Dr. Huntington's going to join you, Lori. And let me, you know, I have some general announcements that I want to, you know, kind of unpack some more academic things and introduce these. College and Career Week was great. The career fair, college and career fair, outstanding. If you're looking for another kind of gold card event, we are busy working on January 23rd. Put it down. That's our big, huge winter veterans celebration. Doing very different things this year. So enjoy it, January 23rd. Kind of the zone of proximity is 4:30. We're going to have people arriving, dinner, with veterans, and then we hope the ceremony is at 6 o'clock. It's a great event. All board members that open up an invitation Monday, 1 week from today, we have a school improvement day. We're going to be kicking off the day with a little like staffsgiving, a little coffee, a little, you know, conviviality. So if you want to come by, have a cup of coffee, people love to see you. Just say hi, happy Thanksgiving, 7:30 to 8 o'clock, East Campus Cafeteria. That would be great. We'd love to see you. Week from today, Luann, Monday, November 24th, 7:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. roughly. And then I just want to say thank you. We had a whole bunch of dinners. Dr. Huntington's the big winner. We had a dinner at the Orland Park Mosque on Thursday night. Lots of us were doing different things. But Dr. Huntington, Josh Oster, Matt Bartley, and Grace Gonzalez represented us there. Then Friday night, we had the Chamber of Commerce. While some of us went downstate for volleyball, Dr. Huntington, Angela Adolph represented us at that dinner. And then a number of us, Veronica Shaw, Candace Gerritsen, myself, Lori Cristofero, and Angela Huntington, we went to the Kids Matter gala benefit. We're doing a huge, you'll be hearing more about, huge mental health, youth mental health project with Kids Matter, about a roughly $30,000 to $35,000 grant that they're going to underwrite for us. So just good stuff going on in the district. So who are our friends? You know Dr. Huntington, she's the assistant superintendent for student services. You know Lori Cristofero, but you have not met Lisa Johnson. You know Rudy Hernandez. I don't know if you remember meeting Rudy Hernandez last year. Rudy was here in Lockport most of the year. We piloted in Will County an alternative learning opportunity program. It's a grant through the state that the Will County ROE, Lisa Caparelli-Ruff, stewarded and kind of approached me, said, hey, do you want to try this? Really to dig into our learners having the most difficult time getting to school and being engaged in school. Now, a number of school districts are doing the ALOP. Rudy's overseeing all of the districts, and the part of Rudy Hernandez is being played by Lisa Johnson now. So, who occasionally, that is Luann. Lisa is the person who you're getting phone calls for. You've sent me some mess. Luann Johnson, Lisa Johnson, it's a thing, right? So the reason why I brought all these folks, yes, that is who you have met, okay? Lots to celebrate here, and there's a lot that I've written here, but I want to just kind of show board members the Illinois School Report Card. I've asked Dr. Cristofero, with the help of Dr. Huntington, to even dissect it a little bit more in depth, and I have lots to print out. and then even tightening the focus more with Lisa on the achievement of some of our most challenging to meet learners, and what is her work, some data, some very inspiring data from her. So Illinois School Report Card, here it was released. This is voluminous. We made lots of reference to this last month. You can come in here, you can look at academic progress, see where we're at. We had, these numbers might not mean anything to you. I had a good webinar about growth, the growth metric, where it was really explained the speed with which students are growing, more than sort of an attainment. So if you think about it like speed, how fast are our students getting to growth? How quickly are they growing? Our ELA was average in the state. We had average growth, and you want to be of average, above average, or exceptional. And our math growth was above average in terms of growth. We're obviously looking to push that, even higher in terms of growth. And that was on 3 different test measures. They're testing in 8th grade, they're testing freshman year, and then they're testing on the ACT. Then you have just, straight achievement. You've got our ELA from the ACT. We had about a 20% increase in ELA proficiency on the ACT, in ELA. Math also had growth over the SAT. And then science, I would really say we really held our own. Okay. In terms of science proficiency. And so you see all these metrics. You've got 9th graders on track. You've got graduation rate, our corrected graduation rate is in there. You have finance comes into the picture as well in terms of what is our adequacy rate? And our adequacy rate now is roughly about 84%. So the state, when you get an adequacy rate that's below 100%, basically the state is saying you should be spending 16% more than you currently are. I take it as a sign of efficiency, really more than anything else. Let me pause. I encourage citizens, I encourage board members, there's so much you can dig into here that you could just keep going and keep going and keep going. There's some baked in assumptions. Stable staff, stable administrators creates a stable school, stable schools increase achievement. How much we spend on our students, et cetera, et cetera. With your permission, unless you have questions about the Illinois State Report Card, and I would say what I said to you last month, I believe all the data here is pointing to real success, real growth. Math, we're performing higher than 77% of school districts in the state of Illinois. That's amazing. But I do think there are also lots to celebrate, but what is there to learn? Things to celebrate, things to learn. I do believe all the data points to some work we have with complex reading proficiency. And I always want to remind people, what is that? That does not mean that students can't read. Everybody, right now, run, rush, do what you can. Look at what's in front of you. And I mean literally what's in front of you. These are complex graphs, complex reading materials. They're layered. You have to make inferences. Handling difficult material in every subject we teach. How do you tackle reading in robotics? There's tons of data that you have to read, and there's reading you have to read, like in technical manuals. How do you do that differently than reading something in English class? There is a difference. We have work to do in that. I think it really shows in our data. Questions about the Illinois School Report Card? Because when I asked Dr. Cristofero to lead you into, and I'll be passing out some graphs, we asked a data company called the ECRA Group, to do an analysis of our Illinois School Report Card and to compare us to other schools. So we could put ourselves in a context, not just looking at ourselves. And I was going to have Dr. Cristofero lead that, and then scope it even more with Mrs. Johnson. Dr. Cristofero.
Thanks, Dr. McBride. As he showed you, and as you know, you can go on this school report card and you can spend minutes, hours, days, months, right, digging deep. And so the ECRA group is a premier research and analytics lab that many districts in the area use. They're here based out of Arlington Heights. So they obviously service suburban districts like us, but school districts all over the state. And really the main thing about consulting with ECRA is we're trying to create context for what do all these numbers mean. And so that's what they're gonna do. I think it's interesting, wow, as board members, you have so many different measures to think about. Dr. McBride was just talking to you about a new metric called the student growth metric. Maybe that's something we can go a little bit deeper in at the curriculum committee. I'm gonna talk about proficiency measures and proficiency percentiles tonight. So there's a variety of different ways that you can look at these things. And there we are. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to share with you is schools that we are compared to that are similar to us. All the schools that we were compared to are suburban schools, just like us. They are large suburban schools, although not as large as we are. We're the largest in our comparative group or our peer group. And you can see things like low income group, our limited English proficiency students. There's gonna be similarities in some numbers, but there's still gonna be some differences because guess what? There's only one LTHS, right? But this was a good group for comparison purposes. You can go to the next slide, Dr. McBride.
And what's coming, it was tough to get a good graph on the view board. So as we come to these graphs, I'll actually pass out a paper version that's a little bit more vibrant, easier to read.
So the next three slides you're gonna see, really LTHS is kind of in the middle of this comparative or peer group. It lets us know how we're doing in the areas of proficiency, our students meeting proficiency in ELA, math, and science. Also gives us ideas of, since we're in the middle, there's aspirations to improve, just like Dr. McBride said. There's gonna be kind of three metrics I wanted you to note, and it's taking everything from the teacher mean, and I probably will end up getting up at some point and going up there and pointing, and I apologize for that. But they are gonna show you, the green line is going to be the state average, and so you'll be able to compare our students' proficiency level to the state average, and then there is our peer group average, and that's kind of the purple line up there. So on here, on the ELA, right, Dr. McBride just talked about, hey, between last year and this year, we see growth. But when you look at this, we're above the state average in ELA, but we are slightly below our peer group average in ELA. I think the next slide.
And math is coming around now.
Yeah, and I was just gonna say with ELA, Dr. McBride, he's just talked again about complex text being in front of our students. We've talked about that. Maybe they need paper copies in front of them for more access. Obviously, we've got terminology we're using, and we're really talking about, and Dr. Green's doing a lot of work at this right now at the Freshman Center, of really focusing in on how can we really design lessons that help our students with better access to those. So in math, in math, we're kind of in the middle here. You can see, you can't really see the numbers up there. The high in this one is 61.9%. Our score was 51.4%, so kind of that disparity is smaller than it was between us and the highest group on this one. Again, building context with kind of where we're falling. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about science next. Again, here we are in science. Again, the context of those lines really help us. So we are, again, above the state average, slightly below our peer average. You have to remember with the science test, remember it was a totally different test. We weren't just going from the SAT to the ACT. in science, we went from a criteria reference test, which is where our teachers had ideas of the skills and content that our students were going to be tested on and could teach more strategically to that, to a norm reference test, which again is used to sort students. So a different kind of test. I'm just wondering, I just thought of a question. I'm going to ask Dr. Shaw. You're an educator in another district. Do you think, does this help you? Do you build context in your district like this?
Yes, we do, and I just logged into my ACRA account too.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm just curious how, and then I was thinking Ms. O'Halloran when I was preparing this too, because you are a teacher in another district and you use a different kind of test. And so I wonder, what does it look like when you're comparing your students on the IAR to other schools? Is there a way for you to do that?
Yes, we look at Yes, we look at historical data and year to year, and we just had a meeting about this a couple weeks ago, and just how we can see the scale similar to this and what we need to do to close those gaps. So we just have a different test that we use as we look at the data.
Yeah, so I think that Mrs. Streit, you too, you're a teacher, same thing, right? So we're all trying to build context for what do these scores mean and how do we support, as Ms. O'Halloran said, how do we really work to support our students to grow to the next level? The next slides.
Before we move on,
sure.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
All right. So when we're looking at student growth in all of these projections, are our students meeting their expected growth based off of what ECRA is considering their like for their model?
We do not. That's not what these reports are on. They're on meeting the proficiency level. And then the percentile of the proficiency level.
So I guess
you might be looking at a different report.
Yes, I am. Yeah, the growth model. So I just wondering, just because the state's going to be changing to that growth piece, is that something that we're looking at down the road?
As you will, right?
Okay.
Like we're happy to look at. We're going to be looking at growth models. You met with Ms. Featherling last month. Right, so we can do some things in-house because we have Pat Dean, who you just made I think he calls himself the student director of student information and data. So you advance that, so we have easier access to getting the data. And then Kelly Featherling, who's doing some strategic work around the ACT. But we're really excited about these ECRA reports. We don't have the online profile, though. It sounds like you guys already have that. But thanks for asking that question. Yeah, bringing that up. All right, the next slide. All right, so now you're going to see graphs that look totally different than what we just looked at. And you're going to hear some different vocabulary because we were talking about students that met the proficiency level, and now it's going to be ranked into a percentile. And that's something, again, that ECRA does to give us context. So percentiles are put in this report. They indicate to us where LTHS falls across the state. So you're going to see something that looks like a bell curve on the graphs you're getting. And the vertex of the curve is the 50th percentile, right? And if you're to the right of that 50th percentile in the curve, you're doing better than the 50th percentile. And if you're to the left of it, you are doing worse. It also has on these graphs that you're looking at what's going on in 2024 and also how we did in 2025. It has the state median for each of these number sets as well. So as we look at ELA, you can see in 2024, we were slightly below the state median. And in 2025, we surpassed the state median. And then you can see as you look up here graphically, but I'm going to tell you the numbers, our students in ELA performed at a rate better than 57% of other students in the state. So you've got a growth metric, what Bob showed you, I showed you the percentile, and then now we know like where are they falling against other high school districts, school districts within the state. Everybody likes that curve up there? Let's go on to the next one. So you can see the math bell curves are slightly different, but the same thing, right? At the height of the curve is the 50th percentile. And if you look at 2024 and 2025, we exceeded the state's metric. And as Bob said, our district's percentile for math was 77%, or the 77th percentile. So that means as a school, as an institution, our students scored better than 77% of other school districts in the state. Really excited to share that with Marissa, who many of you have met before. All right, and then the next one is science. Again, our students meeting the proficiency standard actually fell from 66% in 2024 to 57%. But guess what? When we look at these percentile rankings, our students were still better than 76% of students in the state, right? So that's very high. It's about the how did they do on the test, but then when you lay it out across the state, how did our students do? So I was thinking of Ms. Johnson and Ms. Lopez-Caniva. Have you seen, as more veteran members of the school board, have you seen ECRA reports before, and what do you think of them? Yeah.
I have a question. Is this, these percentages you're doing, is this the same class of students or different classes?
This is all based on, and Ms. Hayes said this at our last meeting, that it's based off the juniors' one-day ACT. I think Bob was showing you some things on the school report card where there were a variety of measures, but these are really based off the ACT.
So this goes with the report you did.
In terms of ACT performance. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's one thing I didn't say, and I probably should have said it at the start, right? Like last month, we provided information to you that we felt were tied to the board goals, and that there was really a strong board goal or messaging that students are more than one data point, right? So we presented too many. I think on the school report card, I think the state also has that view that students are more than one data point, and they're trying to really emphasize growth. What can you and your school do for the students when they're there for you? Again, we say this all the time too, right? ACT or any standardized test doesn't mean everything, but it doesn't mean nothing either. By the way, ooh, can you go back one, Bob? Thank you. I love sharing with you. We've shared some literacy standards with you. By the way, this is complex literacy, right? This is what ACT is asking for. Anytime you can get 3 variables on a graph and ask students to analyze that graph, we are going to be helping them. So, you know, you were looking at multiple years, different medians. We looked at the bell curve versus where the average was. So again, this is what we need students to do. All right. Next, we have some scatter plots here. They look at the percentage of low-income students, right? You can see that at the bottom, and versus the whole school's proficiency level. And so each dot represents a district in the state. Then they have a trend line, and the trend line shows meeting proficiency, like where's the proficiency at each level for this. And so your goal is really to be above the line. If you are above the line, you're beyond expectations. More students are meeting than perhaps what you might have expected. So you can see for ELA, we were just slightly below the line. On ECRA, on our version, you can tell us, Dr. Shaw, if yours is slightly different. You can't hover over the dots to see like what are the other districts that are right there. When you go to the Illinois School Report Card, if you want to look at the same similar information, you can hover and see what are the schools right around you. Again, it's about giving you context to understand how things are going. Here we are in math, and so this is probably no surprise to you because we've talked about being
greater than 77% in the state. But also this goes to show that our math scores, we're really also reaching our low-income students and helping them achieve very well in mathematics. You're going to see very similar in science. Okay. That's all I have of you for slides before I give you some concluding thoughts. Are there any questions or comments?
All right, so we had ECRA look at our comparison to other school districts. When we look at our own data, so just so board members are aware, like these scatter plots are very valuable when you're looking at just the school itself, because they'll draw trend lines like this and you can hover over and see who the students are when it comes to this. And then you can just look at the data to see like cohorts of students. Do they have the same teachers? Are they following the same trend line as far as classwork, things like that? Are we doing things like that with this data in ECRA as well?
So we don't have that feature for ACT right now.
Okay.
Again, maybe that's something we're going to get. But by the way, preview for the next curriculum committee meeting, we do have that data for our limited English proficiency student, right? And so not to take away all of Mr. Oster's thunder, I think he'll be joining us to talk about how you can use that data to group students and to think about different supports for students. Thanks for setting that up.
Yeah, no problem.
We didn't talk before the meeting.
No, we did not.
So hopefully ECRA gives you some additional context for our student scores beyond the academic achievement report. I certainly hope that did too. But I just wanted to share with you again, what is the work we are doing around this to always try to improve our student scores. So right now, Dr. Green and Dr. Johnson are really working diligently with our collaborative teams, and they're working with department chairs. They are really trying to help teachers and the teams identify what are the skills that students are missing and specific content, and being very specific as opposed to maybe a little bit more general, and then going after it, right? So if they're missing skills, how are we supporting those students to help them gain those skills? I said this earlier, we've reinvigorated our work on discipline literacy. That means literacy in different content areas. Like Bob said here just at the beginning, it's different reading something in math and science versus ELA, maybe in history. And even within a content area, there can be slight differences. As a forever social studies teacher, when you're in a history classroom, you're reading information to figure out when did something happen and why did it happen then, versus a geography classroom, which is looking at where did something happen and why did it happen. So really helping students think like mathematicians, like scientists, like historians, like geographers. So really that focus on discipline literacy, and we're just going to continue to grow that, right? We're doing a lot of work with our instructional coaches. Again, so much thanks to the board for giving us instructional coaches to really go into teacher teams and support them. You met Kelly Featherling, I've already said, you know, she's doing outstanding work at really breaking down that ACT data, really going into teacher teams and talking to them about what are some easy lifts you can do to really help students attain some skills. And I think we met, you know, we had the January issue with the ACT, and then we had the February issue with the ACT, and we did make some friendships out of that. And so really Kelly has done a really great job of connecting and learning from really some high-powered people at ACT how to really help make those lifts. Right now, we are getting ready to be in the midst of what we like to call here of Tier 0. And that's really about getting students in the right classes. And for many of our students, we were just on a meeting this morning with our EOS consultant, because for many of our students, we need to challenge them a little more. If they're not challenged, their skill level is going to plateau. So we want to make sure we do that. But it can also mean putting them in classes that are more reading intense, perhaps, and really supporting other classrooms to infuse more reading in there. It might mean helping our students take our test-taking strategy classes too, right? So we want to make sure we're doing all of that. And still, right, and that's what the 8-period day does, right? Help our students take these classes, but still take
career interest classes they might be interested in, visual performing arts classes they're interested in. So again, thank you for approving that last month, because I think that is something that's really, really going to help our students. And the last thing I would say we're doing is we really are looking to monitor our intervention and support classes like PLUS, like Compass, like our reading support classes, math enrichment, and seeing really how are we doing at lifting student skill sets. Bob and I were just on another call today. I was on a lot of calls today, but really thinking about how can we help teacher teams really see this reading measurement? What can we do to make it more visual to them and easier for our teachers to support our students? That's all I have for you, unless you have questions.
It's a big view, and I know this board is always concerned about, what about that student that is just not fitting into any of the above? But is still enrolled in this school, still coming to the school. We still have an obligation. I know you're very interested. So I want to pass around some data from Lisa Johnson, have her kind of take over and sort of lead you out here and put some things, just some outcomes where the numbers might be small, but the gains are huge. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Lisa, just to wrap up and describe your work. And, what are we going to see just here in a minute? And I'm going to put the sheet you sent me on the board behind you.
Thank you so much. Again, I am Lisa Johnson. I am a teacher, so I love being around other teachers. That makes me still feel like I'm at home. So the ALOT program was new to me. I'd never even heard of such a thing, and came across it and just really was drawn into it. And I cannot even express to you how much I love this program and how much I love coming to work every single day. So what is the ALOT program? Sorry, I need my old lady glasses here.
Don't we all?
Thank you for that. So the ALOT program is the Alternative Learning Opportunities Program, where I provide support for students who may otherwise fall through the cracks. So as educators, we've all had those students that we see it, and we just desperately fear that they're going to fall through the cracks. And we have limited time in our days, and we have limited resources. And it's what every educator hates the most, is knowing that we cannot always reach every single student. And that's where this program comes in, and it just shines amazingly. So my job is to catch those students who are falling through the cracks. I meet with them once a week, and I advocate for them. Anything that they need, actually, whether they need help. Maybe they're scared to email a teacher because they turned in an assignment late and that's not who they are. So I will help them reach out to teachers via email. I track a lot of miles on my shoes every day, walking, grabbing my kiddos, speaking with teachers. I have a cot in the dean's office because I'm in there a lot as well. And so the ALOT program, there really are 4 main pillars. And so they are academic, attendance, behavior, and social emotional. So the academics and attendance, as we know, go hand in hand more often than not. If you don't attend school regularly, your grades drop, which leads you to falling behind. Then you don't want to attend school because you don't know what's going on in class, which brings the feelings of overwhelm. So then you don't want to come to school. So the cycle is strong, and it's very difficult to break. And a kindergartner, we can typically get to school, but high schoolers, it's a whole different animal, and it's just a different experience. And so that's really, it's huge that this program is in a high school. So then our next pillar is behaviors, and behavior infractions range from multiple tardies and not wearing your ID to vaping in the bathroom and physical altercations. There are several studies that we all know about showing a strong correlation between poor attendance, poor grades, and behavior issues. I have to say, behavior is what I deal with the least. It still happens, but it is the least of what I do. Let's see, my favorite pillar is the social emotional education. having the opportunity to work with high school students means that they are in the last 4 years before they become legal adults. And these students crave realistic conversations, which is what we have. We talk about emotions and feelings, but what I focus on is intentional conversations, where one of us asks a question and brings up a topic, and then I ask a series of open-ended and leading questions that require the students to think out loud and walk themselves down a path to a solution, and then we dissect the solution from several angles. We discuss career paths and short and long-term goals, self-advocacy and self-advocacy and self-advocacy, and problem solving, among others. Students shed tears, make their brains work, engage their dreams, eat snacks, and belly laugh in my office every single day. I celebrate their victories, and I call them out on the carpet when necessary. I pray for each of them as I walk on my treadmill at night due to one of my students guilting me into working out again. And I keep closer tabs on their grades and attendance than they do. First thing I do when I walk into the door every day is open up my computer and check on their grades and their attendance. But the program is, but beyond the business end of the program, there is also a very human side, and the program's heart is all about that human side. So some of the best parts of this job so far has been that a couple weeks ago, I had a student stop in my office unexpectedly and let me know with just the most gigantic smile that he got an 84 on his math test, and he never even thought that he could get anywhere close to a B. So that was such an amazing day. It took everything in me to not just grab him and hug him. And when he left, I did cry a little bit. A student got into a physical altercation just not too long ago and immediately asked for me. Her dean was out of the office at the moment, and the first thing that she said to the team was, "Call Lisa." So that made me feel really good that they all knew that I was part of the plan. The counselors, social workers, and us in the county services, we passed out bags of food to help our students whose families were on SNAP over the weekend when they can't get breakfast and lunch. And that was just the coolest thing. That the kids came in and they were grateful, and then some of them were so grateful. And it was just really neat to see them taking an extra bag for a sibling and like, really, we can do that? Okay, thanks so much. It was just such a neat experience. I loved being part of that. I regularly get emails and stopped in my office, stopped me in the hall, and Lisa, I got a kid. Okay. And so we joke around and say, can you spy on them? Which means I'll dig through all their stuff, and they want me to take a look at the students' attendance and the students' behaviors and just see what I see and then report back. And then we get together, we talk about it. And so even students that aren't necessarily on my caseload, but people have an eye on them, we talk about them. And so that's a discussion that I want to be aware of all the time. I want to know these kids in the school who you think are in that danger zone, and I want to check on them. Whether they're on my caseload or not, they're on my radar, and I love that. And I love that our staff is constantly looking for those kids. It's not just all about the great kids who show up and get A's and they behave themselves. They're genuinely looking for these kids, and that is just the most amazing part. I've been asked to attend many meetings for students who are not on my caseload because there's concerns, and the parents or the staff, they want to know, what can you do to help this child? What can we offer? What are we missing that you can see that we need here? So I love being invited to meetings like that. And I'm also given the opportunity to refer students to outside agencies where they can receive more support than the school setting provides and help their families and themselves when they are in need. And that is a huge part of what I do, is actually contacting outside agencies. And we've done so much as found out that in Will County, there is a ride service that if you can't get to a doctor's appointment, they can get you there. And that was one of the coolest things that I've ever found. So that was really great. This program is meeting a real need in our high school and in our county. And I am beyond proud that Lockport was the first school in our county to acquire the program. So thank you so much for having us. My hope is that this program can grow And we are looking forward to hopefully in the next couple of years having 2 of us here at our school so that we can meet the needs of more students. Thank you all for your belief in this ALAP program and for trusting me with these kiddos. And I love that I get to work with them every single day. So go Porters. And does anyone have questions about the program? Yes.
Again, what's ALAP stand for?
It's now here I am about to say something that's not true. Alternative Learning Opportunities Program.
How many students do you currently have?
I have a caseload of 32 students, which has been found to be the sweet spot for a caseload.
So that's where you should be.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, and we do actually have, there's a referral process for this. So we have, I believe 6 students that are in that referral process right now. In our program, we are hoping after this semester to graduate a couple of students out who have just made gigantic strides. And I will be so sad and happy when we get to graduate them out and then bring in more students that are needing our help.
So where do you graduate them out to?
I'm sorry?
Where do you graduate them out to? Are they graduating high school?
No, I think these are the students that have met the goals of the program and are not having the issues that they were having that required Lisa's support and intervention. And we tended to focus on referrals for our freshmen and sophomores.
Yes.
Because we do tend to have more internal programs that kind of focus on the juniors and seniors. So we've really come alongside and partnered with Will County to really kind of help us meet 2 distinct groups of students. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Ryan. I was just wondering, what is the referral process? Is that from the teachers and guidance counselors, or what does that look like, and what does graduation look like?
So the process is, it's a Google form that originally came from Will County, and anyone in the staff can refer.
Okay.
A lot of times it does come from counselors because sometimes teachers will reach out, and the counselors, of course, are they're looking at their caseloads as well. But it's totally just a joint force of teachers and deans and counselors and social work.
A lot of these students come forward through the SST process. So we have SST teams that are meeting, talk about individual students, and usually the referral comes right out of there, like we need to get Lisa in on this one, and and things along those lines. So it is kind of, teachers can say things, but yeah, we tend to have those guys on our radar as part of SST.
Very good. And what are you looking for graduation out of the program?
What we're looking for really is when when a student comes into this program, we write what is called a student success plan, and then it's their goals. So they have an academic, behavior, and attendance, and a social emotional goal that we write together. We want it to be attainable, of course, but also something that they'll have to reach for. So, when a student has missed 50 days last school year, is it possible that you can come to school 90% of the day or 90% of the year? Maybe. But maybe for that particular student, 90% is not something that they can attain due to, different illnesses or family situations or something like that. So it is, it's work to figure out what they can attain while also being realistic. So we don't want to stretch too far that they can't get to their goals, but at the same time, we want them reaching. So then when those goals have been met, then we celebrate and we say, congratulations, you've done an amazing job. So proud of you. And then we graduate them out of the program. A letter is sent home to their parents. There's discussions, of course, throughout the whole process. And
Lisa, would it be fair to say that it depends on the level of intensity of need, right? So if we get to a point where they don't require a daily touch base or even a weekly touch base, and it can be absorbed by regular systems in the school, they're ready to graduate back into
regular interventions, if that makes sense.
It makes sense.
Yeah. So there's 32 seats available in this program. So it is very important that we get students who will be motivated to reach those goals. And, you know, we have to also understand that not every student wants to meet their goals or to even be in this program. And so part of Will County, which I thought was absolutely brilliant, is there is an agreement that is signed by the parent, by the student, and by me. And we are all held accountable for doing our part. And if a student is not willing, and I want them in, and the parents want them in, we don't do it, because we have to have buy-in from everyone. So there is definitely that accountability factor for all that are, you know, for everyone involved. And that really does make a difference when you have, you know, everyone working for the same goal. And, you know, we signed an agreement. It really does. It holds everyone accountable. And I think the kids buy into that as well.
Thank you.
Something notable that I notice here is, I mean, we work with equal opportunity schools, and just through that survey, just the power of one adult caring and working with these students. I mean, just some of the attendance numbers on here, I understand it's still only October, but like the trend of how they're going down, the absences going down already is significant. So thank you for that. So obviously they're coming to school for a reason. They enjoy meeting with you and talking with you and doing all of these things, but also the discipline referrals. Like there's a number of students on here that had a high number of discipline referrals, and they're staying out of trouble. So thank you for that.
Sure, I'll do what I can. But also like the failures, I know that when you see the failures, it might look a little scary. Those numbers were taken on a specific day. And as educators, we all know you start strong, and sometimes then you slip a little bit. And then you're like, oh, the semester is coming to an end. Maybe I need to get going. And so then you pick back up. So we all know it's not necessarily across the board. This is just one snapshot of that data that one day when the report was drawn up. But yeah, the failures are definitely, I love that. I love looking at the failures and seeing how they're just going down. And it did scare me when the kids started to take a little break after the initial start school strong. But now I really do believe that they are coming back into the realization that the semester is coming to an end and we need to get going. So it's very encouraging data.
Do you provide any direct instruction for the students, or are you considered like a resource class that they attend, or is it just checking in with them and follow up with them?
I do not provide any direct instruction. Of course, like social, emotional, we discuss a lot of things, but I'm not necessarily teaching. It's more just discussion and, okay, so this situation happened. How could we maybe do that differently last time or next time? Or, you know, if their goal is self-advocacy or something. Okay, so when that happened, then this is what you did. Okay, fantastic. So if we want to try that again, how could you advocate for yourself in this situation? So it's not as much instruction as conversation about things like that. Thank you.
And that's my superintendent's report.
Well,
So
you.
thanks, you guys. Great work. Very well done. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so for this evening, there is no curriculum report. Principal and attendance and discipline reports.
Good evening. I actually wanted to start off our report by doing some shout outs. Shout out to Lisa and Rudy and Dr. Sparlin for collaborating with us in our partnership with Will County. It really has made a difference for so many of our kids. So I appreciate you guys becoming trusted adults for our kids and having that connection, because it really truly does make a difference. My second shout out goes to our instructional coaches and Dr. Christopher. As Dr. McBride has been talking about, we know that we want to improve our reading comprehension and really focus on disciplinary literacy. And after conversations with Dr. Cristofero about our freshman class that's incoming, we really came to the conclusion that every student will take social studies because it really will impact their future and their reading skills. So kudos to Dr. Cristofero for really kind of championing this, and for our instructional coaches. At the Freshman Center, we really have put a lot of effort this year into disciplinary literacy. The instructional coaches, myself and Dr. Osbolt, have been meeting with our collaborative teams and PLCs to meet them where they're at. You know, what instructional strategies are you doing, and how can we improve that and make that better? As Dr. McBride has talked about, taking a look at reading complex texts, the instructional coaches are meeting with the collaborative teams one Wednesday a month to kind of talk about their process and their progress in helping our students with disciplinary literacy. And then they're also doing lunch and learns. Our second lunch and learn of the year is actually tomorrow, so we're very excited about that. Basically, we offer lunch, the teachers come in, and we talk about different skills and literacy strategies that we can use across the board to really help our students achieve. So kudos to them. Kudos to our entire staff, that leaders in academic areas and our co-curricular sponsors, because of our Step Up Night. We have approximately 900 students coming in for the class of 2023, and we believe our numbers correct. We had over 500 families attend last Thursday night, and it was a great evening where students and their families were able to come in and see the excitement and the opportunities that we offer every child that walks through our doors. So we had our academic areas, we had our co-curricular areas, and also our partnership with SIDCO, and the different STEM demonstrations really were exciting. And we got a lot of great feedback from our parents that attended. So really that night is successful because of our entire staff showing how passionate they are about what they do for kids on a daily basis. So kudos to them, and then kudos to our sports teams. In the report that we gave you, we were not able to report on and give you the updates from the weekend, but as we've discussed, you know, we're super proud of our swim team. Out of the sectional, they qualified 9 out of the 12 events, which is exceptional, and our Bella Barrett actually finished 9th. Which is phenomenal in the swim world. So we're very excited for them. Our football team, they had a dominating performance against one of the top-ranked schools. So we're excited to see how they do this weekend as they enter into the semifinals. So they're the top 4 teams in the state for 8A, which is unbelievable. And kudos to, you know, the coaching staff, Coach Chart, and the players, and then our volleyball team. I'm a little biased. I got to be a administrator and a parent. You know, the last time we went downstate was 1999 prior to these girls. So for them to be back-to-back third place finishers in the state of Illinois is just phenomenal. So we are so proud of our kids, proud of our staff, and kudos to all the great things that are happening in our district.
All right, so I wanted to first just say thank you to Dr. Cristofero, who led the way for us last year when we talked about academic return on investment, and we really focused on collaborative teams. I have to say that we have a true appreciation for our teachers, because they are working every Wednesday to look at and celebrate what are the students doing well, like she referenced before, but then also where are they struggling. So in some of the conversations I've had with teachers and with students, they've talked about, you know, being able to do well collaborating with their peers, you know, being able to explain their thinking in terms of seeing patterns. Those are things that are important, especially in our science classes. Then, you know, some of the skills that they're still kind of struggling with are claims, evidence, and reasoning, and that's across the board. And so there are things that teachers are doing with having those conversations on Wednesdays with, hey, I tried this with my class. This worked really well. I think you should try it too. So it's a wonderful opportunity to have that shared ownership about how can we really support our students with what they're struggling with. Also, I wanted to also shout out to James, who was one of the speakers at our NHS induction ceremony last week. You know, our sponsors do an amazing job. Sarah Stinky and Hannah Zamora put a lot of work in working with our students to help prepare them to, you know, share who they are as students and also to support each other. I also wanted to just say that we are really proud of our theater students who work really hard, especially during our Putnam 25th anniversary spelling bee musical. It was hilarious, as Candace Garrettson said before. The kids work really hard on all the performances and productions. I too also put in here that I thought that we needed to do another shout out for volleyball and for swim and for our football teams. And so, those are a couple of things that we're just really excited for our students. We have talented students here who work hard every day, not just in the classroom, but also in the events that they want to excel in outside of the classroom.
Any questions for us? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, board members can see there are 2 overnight field trips listed there for our information. And then we have our facilities report with the report of snow preparation in November.
Lots going on. Any questions on the maintenance report? We had snow, we had the northern lights, and we had 60 and 70-degree weather all in a week.
All in 1 week.
Lovely. Okay. Thank you,
Okay.
Mr. Ammer.
Then up next, we have our consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve consent agenda items 2 through 6 as written?
Second.
All right, motion by Luann Johnson, second by Candace Garrettson, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Roll call.
Garrettson,
Yes.
Lopez-Caniva,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Johnson, Shaw.
Yes. All right, then we have our action consideration items. Do I have a motion to approve the tentative tax levy for the 2025 calendar year?
So moved.
Okay, motion by Ann Lopez Caneva,
Second.
second by Candace Garrettson. Roll call.
Lopez-Caniva,
Yes.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Johnson, Garrettson,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve the resignation of licensed personnel?
I'll make the motion.
All right. Motion by Ms. O'Halloran. I'll second that. Roll call.
Johnson, Garrettson,
Yes.
Lopez-Caniva,
Yes.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve the dismissal of an employee?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Ms. Straight,
I'll second it.
second by Ann Lopez Caneva. Roll call.
Johnson, O'Halloran,
Yes.
Lopez-Caniva,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Garrettson,
Yes.
Shaw.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve a 2-year lease for 2 14-passenger activity buses?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ann Lopez Caneva, seconded by Wendy Straight. Roll call.
Strike,
Yes.
Garrettson,
Yes.
Johnson, Lopez-Caniva,
Yes.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Shaw.
Yes. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution approving Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund Benefit Protection Leave?
So moved.
I'll second that.
All right, motion by Candace Garrettson, second by Ann Lopez Caneva. Roll call.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Strike,
Yes.
Garrettson,
Yes.
Johnson, Lopez-Caniva,
Yes.
Shaw.
Yes. Okay, Press 119. Do I have a motion to approve Press 119 policy updates as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ann Lopez Caneva, second by Candace Garrettson. Any questions on Press? Do we want to talk about it at all? We went over it the last meeting.
Yeah, we did a first reading. You've got the slide deck. If there's any questions that board members have, we can, this is very technical. A lot of language, a lot of words that just change subtly. Not a lot of major changes here at all.
No
All
question.
right, hearing no questions, roll call.
Garrettson,
Yes.
Lopez-Caniva,
Yes.
Strike,
Yes.
O'Halloran,
Yes.
Yes. All right, announcements.
You've got Triple I this week. You've got a football game Saturday night as well in Oswego. As James and Ryan, very downcast, sad. I think there was maybe a tear because they can't come to school next week. Very upset. James Wyatt worked quite a bit of that. Thanksgiving, for everybody. I hope everybody has a great, wonderful break. But a couple fun things, madrigals. We were talking to people about that as they came in. December 9 and December 11th are holiday band concerts, and now we'll get to you in your update. Choir, because choir also. Will have their holiday concerts as well. So lots of fun things. You saw in Angela Adolph's report the Nutcracker too, which is a great fun thing. So lots going on.
Okay. And just as a reminder to get your resolutions over to Luann and then your little green sheet of paper over to Dr. McBride.
Love to have that green sheet, kind of do some coffees with you, really roll up our sleeves, go deeper.
Okay. All right, outside of that, do I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All right, motion by Candace Garrettson, second by Wendy Straight. Not roll call. All in favor?
Aye.
Right, meeting adjourned at 9:23.
Every time, yes, you.